It's story time! The story behind my Bible verse handwriting practice books. This is one of my favorite writing spots, and I'm going to tell you a story from here. Most everything that I make has a story behind it. For a long time, I've kept a box of cards, little note cards, with all kinds of different sayings on them. A whole lot of them are Bible verses, but I have some that are just inspirational messages. And I like to go through them every once in a while and just remind myself some truth and important things. So I found that pretty valuable. So I thought, I think I'm going to make a handwriting book with some of these Bible verses. As a parent, I want my kids to have good handwriting, and I know especially cursive is kind of a hot topic these days with it not being in schools. I don't know if it actually is or not. I've heard both. I am not working in a school, so I can't tell you for sure, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted to create this book in the first place. So I went through all the note cards and I picked out a lot of my favorites, and I started making a list. Now, my favorite Bible version is New International Reader's Version. I don't know what her favorite version is. She has something to say for the birds. Anyway, I love New International Reader's Version because it's a third grade reading level. I wanted to use that version because, it's written for kids. So one day I was reading my daily devotional and I looked at the copyright page, and I noticed on the copyright page there were a lot of different Bible versions that were referenced, and it said it was used with permission. And that made me start thinking, oh, I don't want to have any copyright issues. At this point, I had written 2 books. I had created them in both print and cursive. So I went on to Zondervan, that's the one who does the International Reader's Version, and I read up on what I needed to do to see if I could use their version in my books and get their permission. My book was going to be about 95% Bible verse. That's really all that's in there. I've got a few pictures and a note or 2. So when you want to use a portion of your book with their content, they'll let you. But when I asked to use so much of their content for my book for me to make money, they responded with a no, which I understand. And so I needed to figure out something else. So what I decided to do was look into some public domain Bibles. So public domain means anybody can use them. They're not copyrighted, and you don't have to ask for permission. Well, when I did that, there are 5 different public domain Bible versions, and most of them are very old-fashioned. They have words like thee and thou and Yahweh, which are fine, but in my opinion, that's not what I wanted to be part of my book. So I kind of huffed and puffed for a little bit and set it aside and did other work for a while, and then God dropped an idea on me, and of course, it was a blessing. So I couldn't use the versions that I wanted to. I didn't want to use the versions that I could use. And so I started thinking, in my book, you can trace, copy, read, and draw the Bible verse. So I was thinking about kids and actually thinking about myself and wondering what would be the easiest way for me to draw a picture. So I also create personalized books. And so I started thinking about the word personalized. How can I make it easy for kids to understand the verse well enough to be able to draw it? When you think about kids and what they like to do, they like to draw, they like to talk about me, they like to talk about I, they like to talk about first person, not third person. So I started looking at the Bible verses and I thought, you know what? I can personalize these, put them in first person so that it's talking about me and I bet the kids probably would learn better and understand more that way, and they'd probably be able to draw it. So, for example, John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life." That's a fantastic verse, and I can draw that. But let's think about what a child could draw. How could you explain that to a child? So I thought about that, and I came up with the personalized version, first person, that says, God loved me so much that he sent his son Jesus to pay for my sins instead of me. Do you think you could draw that? Do you think your child could draw that? I think so. But then I thought, well, they're not really Bible verses if they aren't exactly from the Bible. But then it got me thinking, okay, I want the kids to draw, I want them to write, I want them to read, but what is one thing that we aren't doing enough these days, or at least I'm not, and I know my kids aren't? They're not in the Bible as much as they should be. So all of the Bible verses that I have the verse written at the bottom. One thing that I encourage you to do with your children is to go to your Bible, look up the verse, and see, do you agree? Does the personalized verse that I create match the one in your Bible? What do you think?
I can trust God even when I do not understand things. Proverbs 3:5. Jesus will never change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13:8. I love you. Get these and more at hislittlelightofmine.com. Personalized storybooks. Teacher gifts and resources. Bible verse handwriting books. Children's notebooks. Journals and sketchbooks. Picture books. Christmas. And clip a heart.